Let peace, stress free, let it be. God got a bigger plan for you and me. Let peace, stress free, and let it be. God got a bigger plan for you and me. Let peace, stress free, and let it be. God got a bigger plan for you and me.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of High Conscious Conversations with Rev Skip. And I'm Rev Skip, and I am very excited. This is my second episode of this podcast, and I'm just so grateful and so excited about the guests that we have. And it's just an exciting time for us. One of the things I am grateful for that I get to do this webcast, podcast, whatever you want to call it. And it's my first time. I'm doing it solo, but not really, because I'm with God. You know me. It's always God and me. So we are doing this together, and we're having these one-on-one conversations with people I admire. And this is what High Conscious Conversations with Rev Skip is all about. And if you didn't guess, I'm Rev Skip, and I'm just grateful that you can tune in now or later, or maybe a month later, you'll get the podcast, because the podcast will be airing through iTunes and Spotify coming up really soon. Big shout out to my partner that is helping me to do this is Sean Patrick, who's my publisher. That Guy's House is going out live on his page as well in support of my book that's coming out. Actually, it's a second edition of the little book with for big transformations. And that's going to be launching the second edition in January. And it'll also have the audiobook, the audible version that I recorded myself, and also the digital version will be out as well. And that's coming in January. More about that's coming up. So welcome to High Conscious Conversations with Rev Skip. So we always like to start off this show with something I like to call the quotable ponder. And what is a quotable ponder? Well, we get to take a quote and ponder it. That's all it is. So this week's quotable ponder comes from a great book that I'm reading right now, is How to Be an Anti-Racist. And it's by Ibram X. Kendi. Ibram X. Kendi has a quote, or he writes, and I've been living by this, is the opposite of racism is not, I'm not racist. The opposite of racism is anti-racism. When you're doing something, working towards the opposite of racism, there is an action and a mindset that we take on as an anti-racist. One of the things the reason why I picked this as a quotable ponder today, I was with a friend, and a friend was telling me how another friend of his voted for Trump and decided that he would vote because of his pocketbook. And he followed that statement up with, but I'm not racist. Well, for me, if you are believing in equality, or you're working towards equality, or something greater than this energy of separation, there has to be an action. And you, by saying I'm not racist, I believe is not good enough. I believe that we get to ponder this and ask, what am I doing? What is mine to do now? So this week, when you're thinking about this, because we're going to still be hearing a lot about what's going on, and we're going to be hearing a lot about the separation and understanding that there is something that we can do together. So that's it. I am so excited to talk to my friend, my colleague, my teacher, Rev Julie Moret. I want to tell you a little bit about her and her bio, but I want to bring up her book. And right now, it's really, really cool because she has a book sale that's going on right now. But her book is absolutely What is Your What? And it's a great book, and I've read it a couple of times, and it's just amazing. So I'm going to invite you all to go to her website, is juliemoret.com, where you'll be able to actually purchase the book directly from Rev Julie. But let me tell you a little bit about her. Rev Julie is the author of What's Your What, which I just said, How to Ignite Your Unique Brand. And as I was a teacher and learning to speak, she would bring this teaching to me so I would have my own brand and learning how to speak in public. And it was a great, great course. And she's also holds many degrees, a wide range of degrees in healing modalities, including psychology and neuro linguistics programming, which I've been benefit of that teaching, and clinical hypnosis. Hands-on energy. She is shaman. She's a shaman, y'all. And I love that. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that later on. And she's been featured on Lifetime television. She's a spiritual minister and a G5 minister at the Agape International Spiritual Center, which is here in LA. If you don't know, you need to follow us so you can get this information. Shout out to Reverend Michael, our teacher, Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith. Love that. And one of the things I love about Reverend Julie is her TED Talk. Her TED Talk, How to Clarify Your Uniqueness and Live a Life That Matters. Whew, that's a lot. But I'm going to bring this out here, and I want to bring her in and say, hello, Rev. How are you?
Hi. That was fun. I'm sharing this right now.
All right on.
Okay. Look, I just did a watch party. Wait, where is that?
Yay!
Okay.
Do a watch party, y'all. Do a watch party. That's the newness of all what we're doing. You know, and before we get into who you are, because that's the next one we got. How are you kind of relating to this online stuff? And I know I get to see you every once in a while at Agape when I'm holding visual or maybe when I'm doing the sound bath, but you're doing a lot of work online too. How's that manifesting for you?
Yeah, it's really been beautiful. It was something that I'd thought about for a while, but hadn't nothing had kicked me in the butt to get me to start doing more lives. And so it's been a beautiful way to connect with folks all around the world. We do this one live and we've got Fodzi from China and Peter from Canada and folks from all over the world. You know this, you've been doing it a while. So that's really fun. And I'm taking some time now between now and the end of the holidays, I'm going to start thinking and visioning to see what's ready to emerge now. That's one of the big questions I always ask myself is how can I serve this moment? And then as things shift or as, day by day, how can I serve today? So that's where I am right now. See what comes up next. But it's fun.
It is fun. It is fun. Sometimes it's nerve-wracking when you have a new piece of equipment like this morning and you're trying to get it up and it's like, okay, let the equipment go and just do it. Just get out there live and have fun with it. So, but I read your bio and it's so much more that I didn't get to the bio, but I always like to start this conversation with, who are you? Julie, who are you?
That's a good question. Well, I just did a live before this promoting this saying I'm a fairy in the fairy garden because I had a little picture of there's a little fairy in my garden. So I'm kind of like a little sparkly fairy princess in a garden kind of person. But I'm also fire and just big blasts of energy. I'm somebody that is I'm a speaker at the Agape International Spiritual Center, founded and directed by Michael Bernard Beckwith. And that's sort of the portal through which I share. But I would say that mostly I'm a seeker. I'm somebody that is insatiable in expansion and growing. At Agape, we say that we are perfect, whole, and complete. And that's true. And I think we have like a progressive wholeness. So there's an ever unfolding, and I'm so hungry for that. It's part of my makeup, is that I don't get satisfied where I am. I want to keep seeing how I can keep growing and expanding and unfolding. So I would say I'm a speaker, and a little sparkly fairy princess.
I love that. And especially at this time too, Rev, that I believe that some are really embracing what, some people are calling the pandemic. I've been calling it the sacred reset. People have been embracing this, and there are others that haven't been. And those who are embracing are saying, what am I here to learn? And who am I in this moment? What have you learned about yourself in this time that we're going through? And it's a very sacred time, Rev. It's a sacred time. So what have you learned about you?
Well, I think one of the things that's just been super clear is I'm somebody that requires a lot of time to myself. And I had that My child would be at school all day. My husband travels a lot. And so for 9 months, it's been all of us under one roof, and it's been really challenging for me. So I've had to find just other ways. I find myself like fighting it a lot, like wanting everything to just be over and like, go back to normal. And so I am constantly having to surrender into this experience. I'm having to work the principles that we learn.
Yes.
I'm really having to work them because this time, like I would be great quarantining by myself. Like I could be a stellar solo quarantiner.
Right.
But dealing with school, not, kids not being engaged, and dealing with what that does emotionally to our kids is huge. And so it's more, so what have I learned? It's kind of what I knew about myself already, but really having to very actively do the principles that I know. Like I really have to walk my talk.
Yeah. One of the most profound talks that I heard during this time was from you. I remember being at Agape, and I had done the singing bowls that day, and you were talking about how Mother Nature gave us a timeout.
Yeah.
She said, all y'all go back to your room.
You put too much plastic in my oceans. You're chopping down my forest. Everybody just go to your room.
Yes.
You need to take a minute, and I need to rest. Yeah.
If you could tell our listeners and our viewers that time out, the cultivation, what might that look like if they're having a hard time? Maybe there could be something that we could really embrace about this if they're having a really hard time in this time out.
Yeah. So first of all, I just want to honor wherever you are, because like people are posting on social media, like I learned French and I've lost 40 pounds and I've become this and that. And, for a lot of people, it just sucks and it's hard. So wherever you are in that, I think one of the main things that I have learned through this time is that I have to, before I can go anywhere, I have to first stop. And I shared this in my last talk at Agape, and breathe. And just notice, first of all, I start with physically in my body. So as you're listening, to just take an inventory. How does your physical body feel? This gets us back in our bodies. So start there, and then notice what emotions are present. And feelings can't be fixed, but they must be felt in order to flow on. So for me, that's like daily, that's like brushing my teeth. And I have to do that like all day long. And so that's one thing I would offer to those listening, is to really become such a profound self-care provider to yourself, and it means feeling your feelings. It doesn't mean you have to go and do anything about them, but it starts by being sure you feel them, because once I've kind of acknowledged it, it can flow on. And now I'm back in my executive brain. I'm actionable. I can get things done and handle my business. But for a lot of us, with things changing so quickly, it's easy to snap into survival mode, and survival mode just keeps things tight. And so we're just waiting, waiting it out, or it puts people in fight, flight, freeze, or appease. So that's where I just need to stop and breathe and notice how I'm feeling. And then as I get more centered inside of myself, I'm able to become aware of what's ready to emerge now. And I ask those questions every day. What's mine to do? What's ready to emerge? How can I serve?
Yeah. And too, one of the things that I'm recognizing with myself, I'm having this type of, I would say, endorphin fatigue, because before we got into COVID, it was like, go, 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 go. And now it's like, you got to stop, be with this, and breathe. And that's what I'm learning. This is the time I'm cultivating. Who am I? Who am I in this space?
Yeah, I've noticed for myself. So I thought that I was go, go, go before COVID. But with this situation happening, I'm more on than I've ever been.
Wow.
So I'm starting, and I'm doing it through the holidays. I decided to take some time to really just slow it down and really go back to like, who am I? How am I meant to serve? Because I really, I didn't have those days of boredom, or like, what do I do now? I've just been really on. And so I'm taking time to Take a breath.
Take a breath. As Reverend Michael would say, take a breath right here.
Yeah, take a breath.
So I love to find out about people's spiritual awakenings. And I always know that I started off as a Baptist, grew up, came out of the womb, praising God, Jesus is the blood, and that set my roots, but it wasn't where I ended. Can you tell us a little bit about your spiritual journey of awakening?
Yeah, so I'm somebody that I would say was always pretty connected, but I think there are a lot of folks listening to this that can relate. I think that there were things when I was young that I felt a lot of fear. And so it kind of caused me to hook into my spiritual life. And so, for those that are listening that have been through big challenges and hardships, it's such a great reminder that those things that we encounter, even though we wouldn't necessarily choose them, there's a gift that's available. And so for me, because there were things going on that I didn't feel comfortable with early on, I really turned to spirit. And so I can remember as a kid, I couldn't wait for bedtime because I would astral travel. I was flying over the red clay mountains of Georgia. I could smell the air and all of that, the pine trees, all that good stuff. And I had many experiences with seeing angels and spirits, and that was just natural for me growing up. So are you still with me, Skip?
I like to focus in on you because these are not about me. Although I'm here, I'm just for people to get your greatness and your wonderfulness. So keep going. I saw the angels. I saw them.
Okay. So that's kind of what started. And then it just kept getting cultivated because I think, like I said, I'm a seeker. I think in my teens and my 20s, I practiced yoga for hours and meditation for hours. It was just a natural thing. And then I went through a phase where I realized I needed to earn money. And so I learned Neuro Linguistic Programming. I became a trainer of trainers in NLP. And so I was developing skills that I could charge good money, but it was still spiritual work. So I think all of that was spiritual cultivation. And then one of my big awakenings was when I came to Agape International Spiritual Center for the first time, and I saw this guy on stage, and he was funny, and he's a mystic, and he was doing it all up there, so that was a big wake up, at the time. And I'm speaking about Michael Bernard Beckwith. At the time, I wasn't imagining myself doing that. It wasn't even a notion in my mind. But it was like something woke up inside. I think part of it was the thrill of seeing somebody so free and so alive and so filled with joy. And I think part of it was a reflection of some untapped part of myself.
Yes. Wow.
So that was one other one. And then the other big one that I'm sort of in now it started about 5 years ago. And something dropped in me, and it's this spiritual path it makes me want to cry. It's become very devotional. It's become very, I don't know. I think of like my lips to the dirt, how close to the earth can I get? How much can I serve? How much can I surrender? How much can I become united with all things, the creepy crawlers and the finned and the furred and the winged ones and the everything. And so something else is moving through me, and it's just a whole other level. And I think that's our continual unfolding. It just keeps going.
I love on page 11 of your book, it says inspiration is significantly influenced by psychological induced flow state. What's the flow state, please?
I love this. I love this because I get to say Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, who's the author. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. He's the author of the book Flow. And he speaks about how he's a brilliant psychologist, about how when we're in a flow state, hours pass like minutes. It's something where you become so engaged that even though the doing may require effort, it's like joy or ecstasy. And so flow states are, and I invite you, as you're listening to this, what kinds of things are a flow state for you? For me, when I was growing up, running was a flow state. Like I would just be gone. Now it could be yoga, it could be walks in nature, it could be sculpting or painting or dance. Like it's when you get so physically engaged that what happens is it creates a kind of light hypnotic state. So the body is physically engaged and you're able to slip beneath the conscious mind, which is everything we're thinking and aware of. You're able to slip between the critical faculty, which is the part of our brains that's judging and assessing, like, does Skip think this is stupid that I'm starting to do psychology right now? And
no, I love this. I'm
critical faculty. That's the part of me that's wondering, is this okay?
right.
But then I go all the way down to the subconscious mind, which is like the control center for our entire being.
Absolutely.
And so, and so that's where we want to be able to create a flow state, an activity, whether it's dance or singing or sculpting or writing or working out in the gym. It happens a lot. Walking, where we can slip through all these different brain states into the subconscious mind and hear the word of God, hear what is ours, what wants to emerge. So flow states are like the jam. You want to find out, and a lot of times, so you can kind of take a look at, like, what are the things you used to love to do as a kid, because some of those might be able to be something that did you love getting your hands in the dirt, in the mud? Did you love planting, or what worked for you that caused those states? I'm like the same as I was when I was 8 years old. I would spend hours in my room playing with dolls, and now I spend hours in my room just doing things. Like I'm still the same, but that's where the inspiration comes for me.
And the flow state, the way I've been using it is that I was able to transmute the subconscious energy that I carry from racism I've learned through my family, or through what I believe, and believing these racist ideas within myself, to uncover what was deep into my subconscious. I've been using yoga, meditation, and prayer, and these conversations to transmute that energy, which is a subconscious energy and subconscious thought, that I've been uncovering it and shifting it.
That's deep. So I'm not sure how this applies, but I feel like, especially with your opening quotable about being anti-racist, what this brings up for me, because I'm still pondering it. That was a big ponder to toss out there at the front,
I know.
One of those things that came up for me when the whole explosion of the awareness that Black Lives Matter occurred over these last several months was like, I thought I kind of knew a lot. I'm in a community that's mostly African American, at least half African American. I sort of thought I knew a lot. And so as I started doing my own education, and a lot of it I did through this, which dude, I mean, I can't even tell you enough. Like, if you think you know everything and you feel like you're clear, like, this is Cast, The Origins of Our Discontents by Isabel Wilkerson. She's a Pulitzer Prize winner, and it just spells out not just racism, but like enculturated, legalized, systemic, and it's got information. So for the people that are kind of like, that's something that happened a long time ago, and get over it, or other things that I've heard of, like, that's just how it is, right? One group of people dominates another, and then another group comes in and dominates them, and that's how evolution happens. No, it's different than that, because we can't just get over something that's been part of the underbelly of our structures, right? So the legalization and the Willie Lynch article, have you read that?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the fact that things have been so legalized and indoctrinated in the United States of America, that was, I think that's been a big deepening for me. And so I'm very curious. As I said, I'm taking these next couple of weeks to see, like, what's mine to do now. For a while I was doing Bridges and Blessings, And I was just having conversations to understand all of this.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious to see like how I can serve next, because there's change that's just going to happen, you know, in order to be healthy. Right. It's like in this book, she talks about, I'm going way off. Are you okay with that?
No, but please. No, yes, let's go. Let's take this journey.
So in this book, Cast, Isabel gives an example of, there was this small little like island area where some people started dying, and nobody understood why. They weren't part of any like mainland area, so no other countries really cared that much to find out what was going on, but it kept happening. And then finally, I think folks in Europe sent some scientists over because they were concerned that it was like a little close. So they wanted to know what was going on. And what they realized was that like 100 years earlier, some cattle had an illness, and they all died. And so they were buried under the snow. It was in like Antarctic or something, under the snow. They were buried. But with global warming and the snow melting, the fumes of them, the illness of them had started rising to the surface, and people were getting sick and dying. And that's the case in the United States of America. And unless we tend to whatever's been buried, the keep coming up. That's sort of the gift Trump. He gave permission for so many things to be brought to light that were dimmed down, that were covered over. We had some Band-Aids on. There were some more rights being given. There were things happening to make things a little more equal between Black and white people. But it's like everything got exposed because all that underbelly stuff like rose up over these last 4 years. That's my opinion, you know.
And this is what's happening. I love that you're doing this. I didn't know I was going to go there, but I guess Spirit had an idea that we were going to go there. I believe everything you said, and in reading this, and part of this that we are uncovering right now, I felt I've gone through a detox. Last week and I'm still feeling the sickness of it. I haven't felt really good because we did the From Race to Grace class, and we went through 10 weeks of uncovering so much of this underbelly sickness. It was not even with white, Black. It's like the internal racism, internal homophobia that I carry, that I've learned. And this is a sickening feeling. But as we're uncovering it, it's been, okay, now it's time to heal. And one of the things I love about you, and whenever you pray, I'm just tuned in. And I believe people are born to pray. My mom is a prayer. And when my mom starts to pray, just, okay, yes, I believe. You're one of those prayers as well. Would you say this is your purpose? And I know this book talks about igniting your unique brand, because you have a unique brand. And I know what it is. So part of that, are you a prayer? And what is your unique brand? And what is your purpose?
I'm here to shine. I'm here to shine light. And sometimes it's like a sparkly, fun, pretty light. And sometimes it's fire and brimstones. And so I think that what makes it sort of fun and magical to me is the way it like interplays with each other.
Yes.
And through that shining, that something can get raised up or buoyed up in whoever's receiving the radiance, that something gets lifted, healed, nurtured, supported, made new.
Yes.
That's the prayer.
Ooh. Speaking of praying, we're going to get into some prayer as we're wrapping this up. And one of the things I like to do is finish this podcast and webcast with this idea. And yes, for me, I create an acronym for myself. And the yes for me is you expressing spirit. And I was telling myself this, and myself was telling my little self this, is that is my yes moment when I am expressing spirit. And what I want my listeners and people to understand is you have your yes moment as well. Are you expressing spirit as you? Because as Reverend Michael says, that you can only do you. So you must do you. And that's you expressing spirit. Reverend Julie, will you give us a little prayer to help us to anchor in this you expressing spirit, this yes moment?
Yes, absolutely. And for those of you listening, you can take a look back at the kind of cards and letters and emails and the ways that people describe you. And that's a good clue on what's yours to do. Because I noticed, like, even from my baby book, I was seen. So it's just a little hint there. So we'll take a moment and we'll move into prayer. This is not a religious prayer. It's spiritual. It's simply taking a moment. Maybe a great big breath. Exhaling, letting go of anything that's not serving your glory. And we move into an awareness that there is a power, a presence, a source, life, a vitalizing life force energy that is everywhere always. This vitalizing life force energy, it's the power that lets a little tiny flower grow up through a city sidewalk, through the cracks. There's that thing, that spark, that energy. And I'm so grateful to know that I am always connected with that life force energy, that dynamic, radiant, whole, healthy, vital, prosperous, powerful, fierce, joy-filled energy. And as this is so for myself, I know it's true for every single person in the world. And I know it's for you right now as you're hearing this word spoken, that there's something electrified. There's something that crackles and wakes up and remembers the truth of your beingness. It remembers it throughout your whole nervous system, which is the second brain, that there's a light going on throughout the whole body, that it's remembered unto itself in this moment. And so I'm so grateful for this time for us to gather together and remember who and whose we are, that we are made in the image and likeness and perfection of God, of nature, of higher consciousness, of source, of pure love, by whatever name you call this vitalizing life force energy. So from this place, we take a moment to declare blessing right where you are, to declare wide open, free energy, all manner of goodness, that the most perfect people, places, circumstances, and events become magnetized towards you, that you become magnetized towards them, that they're whatever it is that is meant for your soul's unfolding, for the greatest flow and evolution, for the greatest revelation of your life force, that it begins to be so joy-filled and so happy that all others can't help but be magnetized to you. You can't be helped but magnetized towards them. I'm knowing that this is especially true for Reverend Skip Jennings, right where he is, that this light he is, this meteor, this brilliance, this power that he is, it keeps illuminating and shining all over the world in wonderful ways through his talks and his books and his teachings and his podcasts. We bless the little book for big transformation coming out in January. We take a moment to light it up, his next book, to know that right where he is, there's so much prosperity, there's so much illumination, there's so much expansion. And right where you are, whatever it is that's ready to emerge next for you, we light it up in this moment. We declare it victorious already, whether it's dynamic health and wholeness, whether it's prosperity and all needs met, whether it's love and relationship, divine right housing, divine right employment. We light it up. We give it the great big yes, green light, go ahead. And with gratitude in our hearts and excited expectancy, joy-filled expectancy of our good, looking for it, trusting in it, we give gratitude. I give gratitude for the Agape International Spiritual Center, for Michael Bernard Beckwith, my teacher, my friend, my mentor. And I give great blessings and gratitude for Reverend Skip Jennings for the ability for us to have high conscious conversations, knowing that as we raise our frequency, we begin to attract to us things at like level. So already this day is blessed. Already you are blessed. Already the level, the bar has been raised, and glory and more glory is yours to be had. I declare this time anointed and good, and with gratitude I allow it to be, saying, and so it is. Amen.
Whew. So that's a mic drop prayer, y'all. Just like, and so it is, I believe. Reverend Julie.
Fun. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Wow. This was so good. Thank you.
Thank you to everybody listening. I'm so grateful for your presence.
Yes, one of the things I got to do going through ministerial studies is I got a chance to take some classes. It was public speaking for ministers. I remember where I would step up and actually had been speaking for a while, and you had a way to find that spark within me and make it the flame. And I walked out of that class so inspired by you. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. You are just so special to me. And I want to show everyone this. Can I do that? for graduation. Reverend Julie gave me an angel, and purple's my color. As you can see, purple is my transformational color, and this little angel. And I leave it right here in my workstation where I do all my creative work, and you are just a reminder to be the light. I get to shine. So thank you.
My honor. Thank you so much.
Here's what I want everyone to do. Please follow Reverend Julie on Instagram. She drops some really amazing stuff, and she does live talks. And please follow her on Instagram at Reverend Julie Moret, and go to juliemoret.com. Get the book. I got mine, y'all. I've had mine for a long time, and it is signed. It is signed.
I'm signing them now with the book sale. I'm signing them.
She's signing it now with the book sale. So that just gives me a great idea. Okay, Rev, thank you for inspiring me again. And get it for someone for Christmas. Even if you have yours, get it for Christmas for someone, because everyone needs, especially now, is how to find your unique brand. We can find even in the midst of this sacred reset. And in fact, this is the time to do it, y'all. So absolutely. And also, I want to invite you guys to follow me on Instagram and on Facebook at Reverend Skip Jennings. Reverend Skip Jennings. And please follow me. And we're doing stuff all the time. And what we're going to do is we're going to jump off in January. On Mondays, it's going to be Yoga with Rev Skip. It's going to be a live yoga class for 1 hour. We're going to do meditation right here on my Facebook page. So look for that. And that's going to be amazing. I can't wait to do yoga with Rev Skip. Why not?
I love it.
Reverend Julie, again, thank you so much. And I look forward to having more high conscious conversations with you, and remembering that we can work together. I see something. I don't know what it is, but
just putting it right out there in the universe.
Put it out there in the universe. And everyone, as we end our podcast and we end our webcast, we say this: remember, transformation is a choice, and you have the choice to choose not tomorrow, y'all, right now. So until next week, and next week we're going to have Akuyo Graham. Oh, I'm excited. So please join us same time next week for another high conscious conversation with Rev Skip. Peace and blessings, everyone. Be well and be blessed.
Thank you.